Evening. It is, let's see, what is it, about 5:08? This is the City of Indio, the City Council Indio Water Authority meeting for Wednesday, the 18th, Council Chamber, third floor. Let us do a call to order, please, and roll call.
Councilmember Miller?
Present.
Councilmember Huitron?
Present.
Councilmember Ortiz?
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Furman?
Present.
And Mayor Holmes.
Present, all present and accounted for. Okay, item number 2, invocation, Pastor Williams.
Good evening, council, and everyone that's here. It's my honor once again to pray for our wonderful city. So if you join me, let's just pray. Dear gracious Lord, we just come before you humbly, Lord, just acknowledging who you are and just thanking you for our protection, for our provision, for our unity. Lord, we just ask that you govern this council with the wisdom that they need to do the great work that's set before them. And Lord, let us be selfless in our endeavors, esteeming those who don't have a seat at the table, but recognizing that everyone in our city needs to be served. They need to be safe. They need to be met with dignity. So Lord, in your word, you remind us as we serve the least of them, you remember us. So Lord, let us not be forgetful about the least of us. And Lord, protect our police, protect our first responders, protect our children and our school people. Lord, our educators, Lord. Lord, let no sickness be rampant. Let no things that need to be undone, Lord. We just ask you just to protect us, to shield us, and continually, Lord, favor us because we are a great city that's on a hill. You love Indio just as much as we do, and we thank you for that. So now, Lord, we just ask that you take over the meeting, that you be in charge, and we know all things will go right. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Thank you all.
Dr. Carrion Academy is here to do the Pledge of Allegiance. Come on up. And let me read a little bit about Alexi Carmona. Alexi Carmona is 10 years old and a 5th grade student at Dr. Carrion Academy. She is a proud member of her school's volleyball team and actively participates in the leadership club. Fantastic. In her free time, Alexi enjoys building Legos and playing video games. When she grows up, she hopes to become a zookeeper so she can care for animals, yay animals, and make a difference in their lives. That's phenomenal. Thank you so much for that. Go right ahead.
Place your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God.
Oh, how wonderful. Stay right there. Congratulations. Thank you so much for doing this. Go. Perfect. All right. Next is item number 4, Youth Advisory Council. Cool jacket.
Good evening, Mayor Holmes and council members. My name is Jimena Murillo, and I am a member of the Youth Advisory Council. Recently, we volunteered at the Black History Month event. We were able to pass out bracelets, bookmarks, and coloring pages for those who attended. After our most recent meeting, we distributed 30 Valentine's Day care packages to a local elderly community at the Christensen Apartments. We would like to thank Jessica Mediano and Miguel for providing our YAC publicist, Julissa, the opportunity to job shadow marketing and learn more about the field she hopes to pursue in the future. The job shadow opportunities have allowed YAC to explore the work city staff does to keep the city running smoothly. Looking ahead, this Saturday we will be attending the Coachella Valley Invitational. That concludes my report. Thank you.
That's quite a bit. Thank you so much. All right, next, number 5, city manager reports and information.
Report at this time, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay. City council conflict of interest. Does anyone have any conflict of interest for the agenda? I do not. And item number 7, city council report on meetings attended per government code section 53232.3D. Councilmember Miller.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. All my committees were dark, so I didn't have any commission meetings, but I was fortunate enough when I was mayor, Mr. Gutron and myself were able to reach out to the Mexican consulate out of Inland Empire, and they were able to come down and meet with us. We were at BuzzBox. A lot of the products that BuzzBox utilizes comes from Mexico, and so I'm gonna leave it to Mr. Gutron, since he set up the meeting when I was mayor, to be able to talk about it, so he has more depth on what we were going through. Want to thank Mr. Furman for being on our fair board. As you saw, the fair was here and it's open till March 1st. Great opportunity. The parade was there. Great opportunity for our families to get out. Really nice improvements being done by the County of Riverside and Pickering events. Being able to not only bring back dates, there's 40 different products now that have dates in it because it was towards the date festival. They've invested in bathrooms, they've invested in other stuff. So if you haven't been out to the fair, please go on out. Great opportunity for your families to get out there. And our fair board's done a great job of working with Pickering and the County of Riverside to improve it. So please go out. And then hopefully we can get the Queen and her court back, if we can look at that. I know it's a sticking point for people, but it's been part of our history for many years, and a lot of amazing young ladies have been the Queen or their court, and I think it'd be great to be able to help them and support them to come back. And then obviously the parade, if we could add some more. I know you're working on some stuff, Mr. Furman, so, and I agree with you on the military. If we can bring some more people back, that'd be awesome. And then little opportunity for myself, and that the Destiny Church hosted Tim Tebow in the foundation there was 87 disabled individuals from 13 years up. Usually they're mostly like a Desert Arc. They have to be adults, they have to be 18 over. This was actually 13 to any age. There was 87 of them and 200 caregivers that were there. They're either their family members or people that take care of them. And they were separated, basically volunteers from Destiny Church. There was 200 volunteers, and they had to cut it off, that were there to help chaperone the disabled individuals. And then the caretakers went in another part of the church, and they were able to relax, listen to fellowship, talk about what they're doing, had a meal by themselves, and they didn't have to worry for one day to be able to do it. And my hat's off to Nate and Paula Content, and then also Obed and Lizette Martinez, who are the pastors of the church, for raising not only the $35,000, but also to get the wherewithal to bring all the people in to help it. And the first thing that you saw when you got there, and it was really exciting, was our fire and police department were there with lights flashing and the American flag hanging from one of the ladder trucks there. And so those individuals just enjoyed that. The families enjoyed it. So just a neat thing. They are coming back next year. So if you can, I would recommend that you all go, because it was not only tear-jerking, but very, very entertaining in terms of watching them enjoy themselves in a way that I don't think they have in quite a while. So it was really a great night, and my hat's off to everyone. That's it, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Gutron.
Well, it's been an interesting week or 2 weeks, but I had the privilege of participating with about 90 plus of our former members of our city police department, retired, honorable retired, and those that started a career here, ended it somewhere else. They came from 7 different states, as far as Alaska, as far as New Mexico, as far as Hawaii, to spend one evening remembrance of their days in Indio. Our oldest officer from 1963 is Courtney Winty. The family had the Courtney Ranch, which is now Shadow Hills Lake. So a lot of history from a lot of people, diverse group of individuals, from dispatchers, police officers, and support staff, but it's really nice to see them. We were fortunate to have it at the Big Rock Club, and it was beautiful. Everything was positive. They were impressed with the growth of the city. They spent here about a day or two. They're looking forward to coming back next year. But it was nice to see how proud they were. And they were also proud of what I gave Wayman Furman the credit, because he wanted to see a public safety campus. And I said, if you thought that's good, you wait to see how headquarters is going to be. It's a big investment. And every single nickel and dime of that investment was supported 100% by this council, but more important, by your community. And so they still have very proud, and they are going to go back to where they live and brag about it and come back to see that facility built. And so you can't get any better marketing, because it didn't come from money. It's going to come from their heart. So the other one that was important, obviously, we mentioned that the mayor at the time, Glenn Miller, wanted to meet with the Mexican consulate, and I've been fortunate to have those relationships with the past 6 consulates assigned. Currently, Dr. Salvador Prescarte is the current member of assigned by the President of Mexico for a 5-year term. Normally, they're 3 or 2 years, and there's a lot of turnover. And obviously, I've been dealing with that office for various reasons in my prior career, but now it was a relationship builder. And they're willing to embrace the relationship with our city. They enjoyed the visit. They enjoyed looking at BuzzBox, because BuzzBox, one of their main products, is imported from Mexico. It's the base of their tequila is imported there and is used for their mixed drinks, and a variety of mixed drinks based on that. And so it was a really interesting tour, and seeing a state-of-the-art facility in Indio and their growth. Obviously, the tour was done by the CEO, Rod, and his staff, and they did a really outstanding job. And then we gave them the privilege, at the direction of Glenn at the time as the mayor, to come and visit the campus, and they were extremely impressed. And the relationships and the welcome and friendly environment we are to everyone. And they're looking forward to not just stopping there. I just spoke to them this morning. They're coming back to the fair to recognize some of the acts at the fairgrounds of artists that are coming from Mexico, and recognizing the fairgrounds for their effort. And so that'll give credit to the fair board and everybody else for their events. And they want to create another sister city. And so I will come back hopefully with something that the council will support. We had one at one time, but things like everything else, we get rejuvenated. And so it'll be a great opportunity to build those relationships. And everything was positive. The other thing that was really good for me is to attend the second annual event of our police commissioners luncheon here. And I think it's great of staff and everyone, of an opportunity to thank our commissioners that volunteer their time with small compensation. And I think it's important that, obviously, most of them work during the day, then we might look at an evening or a Saturday morning event, maybe, because a lot of them do work. And so I thought I'd bring that back. But overall, it was a very positive experience. It was really nice because they had the opportunity to be here in the open patio deck of the 3rd floor. And they obviously, some of them had not had that opportunity to see it, and they really enjoyed it as far as their views. I had the opportunity with my 6-year-old granddaughter, Sophia, being the 3rd generation of Huichon, to attend the fair. And it's really nice to her. She loves the pig races. She got a really kick out of that. She enjoyed the interaction. All of you took time to say hi to her, and she really, understanding how things work, was really impressed. But it's nice that our fair is bouncing to where it should be. Grassroots, involving. I had an opportunity to speak to the association of our model train. Most of them are Indio residents, and they take great pride in that, and great pride in us supporting the museum, especially with that brand new rail car. They had just a plethora of ideas to come about, but it's nice to see the fair bouncing to where it's grassroots. And today the mural was outstanding. It was a great visit, and it's nice to see our community come out and support it, and new faces that are involved, and we're energizing the interest in what the city's doing, so that's really nice. And lastly, just 2 things of importance. Unfortunately, Super Bowl Sunday was awesome for those that were rooting for their favorite team, but life goes on, and unfortunately, we almost lost one of our own. We almost lost one of our frontline officers to an accident. at the results of a potential DUI. And thank God, and my hat's off to the fire chief and CAL FIRE and the paramedics and the support of the community. So he is hopefully, chief, will be in recovery, but we almost lost somebody. And it kind of makes you think about, we take things for granted. Life in general can be gone in a second. And so we're hoping that with the support of the community and obviously support of our HR team there, make sure that he gets well and gets back to work, because that's what he wants to do. So, and the other one was a passing of a very special person, Robert Luna, who was a barber at Armando's Barbershop. All three barbers have now passed. If you remember Ephraim, and if you remember Armando himself, they're very strong from the Luna family. And Robert, I've known since I was a kid, and his wife Priscilla, who had the bridal shop downtown. Unfortunately, he passed away a week ago.
She did?
Yeah, he did. Oh, he did. Robert passed away. And so I just, for those of you that knew him, those like me every 2 weeks getting a haircut, it was more than just the haircut. It was the community people going in there and getting their haircuts just as much as Joe's Barbershop and all those other special places that we have in our city. But I like to take the time to remember Robert, and respects to the family. Long-term family members of the Luna family is in our city between here and Coachella. That is my report.
Quite a report. Thank you so much, Councilmember. Councilmember Ortiz.
Thank you, Mayor. Last week, I attended the Coachella Valley Energy and Sustainability Committee. We had a great discussion regarding the air quality in the Coachella Valley. A few updates from the Air Quality District. One is the CV Dust Monitoring Camera Network. These are cameras that are put at high points around the valley, most of them up on the mountains, that are tracking the dust movement so that we get a clearer vision of what's going on during our dust storms and what the problem areas are. They also have additional PM10 monitors. There's 7 additional ones coming to the valley. These are not official regulatory monitors, but lower cost options, but they'll still allow us to get a better picture of what's going on throughout the valley, and they're being calibrated right now in Mecca. There was also some discussion regarding the health studies used by the Riverside University Health System. An older health study from the 1990s came up as having some very thorough health data, so we're gonna go back and look at that study and compare with our current data to see if we need a more thorough study going forward for the present air quality impacts on health conditions in the valley. Today we also had the mural unveiling for the Our Life mural on Jackson and 45 by local artist Adam Enrique Rodriguez. It was great to see our local students, car clubs, and families out there enjoying this new mural. That's a great representation of the culture and community of the city of Indio. I also attended our commissioner luncheon. Many of them take a lot of time to study our projects and provide valuable input to our staff, so we would like to thank them for their efforts and their service to our Indio community. I also attended the President's Day Parade, which went really well. We had a lot of people come out this year, so I want to thank our partners at the county as well as our staff for helping us with organizing that fun event for our community. Lastly, I went to the Black History Month event in downtown Indio. I want to thank Councilmember Furman for all of his efforts in organizing and keeping that event going for the past few years. Congratulations to all of our awardees, and thank you again to our staff for providing another great family event in downtown Indio. And that's all I have. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you so much. Mayor Pro Tem.
All right. And good evening, everyone. Most of my committees were dark, but I did attend some outstanding events in our community. Like it was mentioned previously, I did attend the Indio Black History Celebration. I worked behind the scenes a little bit to help ensure that that went smoothly, but I got to give a lot of credit to our staff. Miguel and his team and the city manager, the chief, just thank you for the support. Every time I think we're, at a place where we're comfortable, Jessica or Vanessa comes out with another idea that's amazing. And so it was a really great event. Pastor Tony was there on one of the panels. We had youth panels, and there was some entertainment. And then after the celebration, we had the ENJ movement perform. So really good night in downtown Indio. And of course, lots of food. And so I also attended the Palm Springs Air Museum Gala. That event is phenomenal, and it's also a tearjerker. They celebrate our veterans from our country who served, and the theme this year was 50 years of the ending of the Vietnam War. And just hearing some of the stories of the veterans, it's just amazing that some of them, what they went through and how they persevered, and their outlook on life is so positive, and it makes you look in the mirror and say, what am I worried about? And so it was another great event to go to after the Black History celebration. So I went home, changed, combed my hair, and then went out to Palm Springs for that. Since Councilmember Catron was talking about haircuts, that was my haircut. And I also attended the Riverside County Fair National Day Festival grand opening. Another great traditional event in our community, and we talked generations of kids, a lot of us who attended that ceremony. Thank you to Supervisor Perez and his staff, the Pickering family for having such a great event. And I talked to a lot of folks about the Day Festival, and we all look at the Day Festival through different lenses, right? From elementary school to going to see your art exhibits and wanting to get that ribbon, and then you're in middle school and high school, you're hanging out with the football team or the cheerleaders, and you're out riding rides, and then now as a parent, I go eat and I watch the little kids run around, and I have the honor and privilege of being on the advisory board, and I say that because I tell people to chase your nostalgia. Go find your nostalgia. It might be different than when we were kids, because we were kids, but go find your nostalgia and make some new memories. It's a fun event. It's great to go, and it's here until March 1st. And growing up, to a lot of folks, this was our Disneyland. Not everybody has the privilege to go out to Disneyland, Magic Mountain, and the amusement parks. But I tell you this, this is going to make memories, lasting memories, and it's right here in our backyard. So when you go, you not only support the Day Festival, you support all the organizations and the students that they donate to. There's a lot of scholarships involved in the Day Festival. There's a lot of programs from 4-H to FFA, Future Farmers of America, that support our youth. So just think about it as well as when you go, you're investing in your community. So I strongly advise everyone to go. We had a great time at the President's Day Parade. That's fun to a lot of us. We all attend as kids. Now we have the privilege of being in it. I walked the parade this year with Indio High School ASB, and so I'm still recovering from that. Nonetheless, another great experience, and thank you to everyone who came out. Thank you to our car clubs, and I mentioned it earlier to the mayor. Since I'm on the advisory board, hopefully next year we get some soldiers to march in the parade with us, and we're working on some more cool ideas. So looking forward to that as well. So that will conclude my report, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Everybody has quite a report. Everybody's out there in the community. Everybody's heart is here in the community of Indio. I thank you for all. You are all such an inspiration to me. Well, I guess I should probably start with the one meeting I had, the formal meeting, and that was the Coachella Valley Mountains Conservancy. We purchased another 10+ acres in the Thousand Palms Conservation Area, and we are slowly but surely just trying to create areas of open space for people to enjoy and to preserve. Unfortunately, that comes with a price tag. And there's a lot of dumping and a lot of challenges out there. And so we talked about, and we received a presentation about the Ranger program. And there's just so many pieces to it. And I'm going to say thank you, Councilmember Gutron, for volunteering to help. If you're in this Ranger program, they want to be able to cite in some way people that are just really sort of decimating our lands, that are dumping cars, because it's not just dumping things, it's dumping things that are toxic into our lands, into our water system, and having the ownership of these lands, it's incumbent upon us to become good stewards of those properties and be able to keep them clean. And that's a much larger project than we even realized. I had some numbers here. At the end of the day, just a whole lot up north of Desert Hot Springs, wherever, in some of the outlying county areas that feed into that. So we're looking at a Ranger program to just keep everything clean, neat, and keep the lands pristine as they should be. Black History Month was outstanding, and every year, like everything else in this city, it gets better and better, and I really appreciate Mayor Pro Tem your desire to keep the culture and the history of our city and our community going. It was a really wonderful event. The awards were wonderful. The people, I came back and saw some of the music that was going on. It was fun. People were having a good time. You know, I've noticed a theme in this city, and that theme is wherever there's food and music, there are crowds and there are families. And I think it doesn't get any better than that. And I'm looking to our amazing staff to continue that because they're always coming up with great ideas and wonderful ways to integrate this community. It's something that was fun to do. I met, there was an insurance group that came from out of state called High Street Insurance, and they wanted a special project to do. And so they contacted the city, Jose, and said, what can we do and where can we do it? Well, they did a mural, so tremendous amount of background work on the part of staff to prepare this mural for this group after they were here actually at the Hyatt before the fire. They were here at the Hyatt having their meeting and their function and whatnot, and about 4 o'clock, 3 or 4 o'clock, they came en masse. I mean, one bus after another pulled up. There were actually probably about a few hundred people there to go over to Avenue 44 to paint a mural. So if you haven't seen it, the mural is absolutely beautiful. We thank them. That was part of the program, something they wanted to do and give back to our community. And we are happy to have them and work with them. Let's see, with Mayor Pro Tem, and I think you were there a little bit longer than I, but you had a really great opportunity to attend Students in Government College of the Desert. You know, to see young students have an interest in government is just so refreshing. It's so wonderful. It's so energizing. And I'm sorry, it was, yes, by the, put together by the YMCA. And it was just really wonderful to hear them give speeches. They were running for president and vice president, and so they had timers. They had their speeches all set up. They were wanting to be compelling. They were just so poised, so confident, and just so adult. And those are our future leaders like you, and we are very, very excited to have them. And Wayman, if you want to jump in, because I know you got to spend a little bit more time with them, and it was just very exciting.
No, I think you captured it, but I was impressed with this young group of kids. You know, they're out of the YMCA. It's a youth government class, and they met here at the College of the Desert. Myself, the mayor and city manager, attended, and we got to listen to you know, their meeting and things that social issues that we're dealing with. We got to hear from their perspective from both sides. And it's real important to listen to our youth and get their perspective on things. And I walked out of there very, you know, comforting that our future is going to be in good hands. And I was very impressed by their decorum as well. And the next day they were leaving to Sacramento, more of like a competition trip to meet up with other youth groups just like theirs. And so, you know, seeing our youth be so engaged, and we have, you know, our YAC and our ASBs and our church groups and our youth groups, we have to continue to support them. And so they were excited to see the mayor and city manager and myself there. And I stayed a little bit to talk to them and asked them, what can we do better? You know, and, you know, one of the things they said were, you know, can you lower gas prices? I said, well, I'll talk to some friends, you know, but issues like that we're dealing with, that's on the forefront of their minds. So it was great to attend. So thank you, Mayor, for that. Yeah.
Absolutely. It was just so fresh, the ideas and their perspectives. Also attended the ribbon cutting and the opening for the fair. I've been to the fair at least 3 times since that day. It's just so great to see a renewed effort on dates on our agricultural community, on some of the things that made our East Valley and Indio so special. Pickering Events is just doing a great job of lifting that fair up, of doing different things. And it was interesting, a comment that one of us made there. So they have a luau for those of you that haven't been to Hawaii, and there are probably a lot of people in our community. So they have a luau stage now where they have actual Hawaiian dances at night. They have and food, and they have the fire dancers in the evening. And it is authentic. It is absolutely authentic, and it's quite wonderful. And I just love the thought process. It says, what can we bring to this fair so that it becomes a local Disneyland, as the case may be. And so it's really great. It's really wonderful. It's just everything is new and clean, and I know it's just going to continue to grow. So if you haven't been, you have a couple weeks to go. Please do. And oh, by the way, check out the cinnamon rolls. They're the best. And I also attended the Commissioner Appreciation Lunch. We are very thankful for our commissioners and the time that they put in helping us carve, learn, and really go through all the plans and the arts. And as a result of the Arts Commission, we now have an amazing and beautiful mural in our city that's just enormous. It's huge, and it really depicts the culture and the beauty of our city. And it was quite an event this evening or this afternoon. So that was much appreciated. And gosh, there's so many things going on in the city. It's such a great time to be a part of this community. And on that note, I am going to thank everyone for listening and move on to item number 8, which is the consent calendar. Does anyone wish to pull anything, or do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion.
8-7, okay. Any other items? All right, go right ahead.
And the only reason I did, it's not that it's a challenge, is it's a big deal for the neighborhood of Cover Track. I had the privilege of being assigned by the mayor to liaison and work with the county supervisor. And I had spoken to the city manager, and I've spoken to some of the water staff. It's a big deal for those residents. As you know, it's not the first acquisition we've done as far as a water service. I think, to my memory, this is probably number 6 or 7 for the city, because as the city's been growing, but it brings quality water that our city is able to provide those residents. And they were in a really bad jam, and the county's putting a lot of money into that neighborhood. It unfortunately, like many other areas of the county, because it's so big, but the streets have been improved. The mayor was there with me not too long ago. They're putting in street lights. There's still challenges with alleyways and whatnot, but for them to realize that they're gonna get the quality service that our community has and take over that big burden and the benefits that the state's gonna give. I just wanted to make sure that the staff was aware of reaching out. They're gonna do a good job, because I've been there 3 times, and our water department has done an excellent job. And the ability also, because they have a lot of staff that speak Spanish, and I think it's just important that we continue that. We will be the vendor providing a water service, but they're going to have a responsible vendor and a vendor that's going to bring quality service. And I just wanted that to be a note.
Perfect, thank you. Okay, Mayor Pro Tem, yes?
Yeah, I just wanted to echo that, that's a great project that we got going there for Carver Track in being able to provide that reliable, clean water for the next couple of decades, right? And the other 2 that I wanted to mention was the acceptance of the payment and performance bonds for JFM villas. There's 2 different ones. One is for family apartments that are coming in for affordable housing. The other one's for senior affordable housing. So I think that's going to be critical, here at this time for our families, for our working families, to be able to have somewhere affordable to live. So thank you to our staff for working with Coachella Valley Housing Coalition on that project there. The other one that I wanted to bring up was the landscape contract, which we're increasing by about $400,000, and that's to make sure that we're able to maintain the new projects that we have going on around the city. So thank you again to our staff for that planning ahead of time to make sure that we're able to take care of the sports park, the new medians that we have around the city, and other landscaping projects that have come up recently. This will be able to cover those and make sure they're well maintained. So thank you.
Okay, Mayor Pro Tem, you made a motion?
Motion.
And Councilmember Oscar Ortiz second that motion. And I know that there is a special, so everybody sees it except me. It's just not on my screen.
Upper
So,
right-hand corner.
yeah,
Let me refresh that, Mayor.
I'm special, apparently. I do not, no.
Not you?
No.
Oh.
No. All right, how shall we do this? Yeah, we can do roll call, whatever.
Do roll call, Mayor.
Let's do roll call, okay.
Councilmember Miller?
Oh, wait a minute,
Oh.
we got it now. I pressed enough things on the screen. Okay, let's go right ahead.
How do you know it takes?
There are 3 more.
Yeah, let's
3
try
more.
it. Let's go for it.
Thank you.
Okay?
Yay.
Yay, we're good. All right,
And passes,
love
thank you.
technology. It's wonderful.
Thank you, Sabdi.
Oh,
Thank
love
you,
it.
IT.
Okay, at item number 9, administrative items. 9.1, resolution number 10548, restating and clarifying policies regarding cooperation with federal immigration authorities and reaffirming commitment. And that's a strong word. I want to take a moment. Reaffirming commitment to public safety and community trust. City Attorney, Stephen Pacifico.
Thank you, Mayor. So this was a council-initiated item at the last meeting. We drafted the resolution working with the mayor and with Councilmember Ortiz. Like you said, I mean, I think the title says it all. It reaffirms the city's commitments to comply with state law and to pursue local priorities with local funding. I'm happy to answer any questions the council may have about the specific provisions of the resolution.
I actually wanted to turn this over to the chief. We had some extensive conversations about this, and I know he has some very strong emotions about how this is rolled out and our role.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Chief Brian Tully, I oversee the police department. Definitely, this issue has been a complex and concerning issue with our community. The Indio Police Department has had a long-standing interest and engagement with our community. Our community includes everybody. We have a diverse community. We have undocumented people within our community. They are part of our community. I want to reassure not only you, but our community that we definitely do not and cannot be involved in the immigration enforcement process. We have always cared about our victims, and we come no matter what. When you call 911, we will respond. We will assess the situation. We will address any crime. We will address the needs of our victims, and we will arrest suspects. It doesn't matter whether they are documented, undocumented. That's our job. That has always been our job, and we will continue to do our job. We care about our community, and we will be there for our community in every sense of the word.
Thank you. I think that's important to reinforce. I think we can't say that enough. Council, any comments or a motion to approve?
So move.
Sure.
Motion, go ahead.
Sorry, I wanted to bring up, just some recent events that highlight why this kind of messaging is so. I've been talking to them, I asked, are you police? And they said, yes, we are. And the people inside, the guy outside of the car didn't have anything law enforcement related, right? He just had a plain clothes, but it was an undercover sheriff. The sheriffs inside the car had the sheriff's shirts on, right? So I was able to tell that they were sheriffs. And we had a conversation there, and I let them know, people are freaking out right now because they think that you guys are ICE. And they said, okay, well, let them know, is it better if we move to a different location? I said, yes, please, if you could, move to a different location, that'd be helpful. But at that point, the whole neighborhood was, on lockdown, and people were really panicked. They didn't know what was going on. And that's the kind of issue that we're seeing, right, where regular law enforcement activities are now deemed to be a danger to our community. And it provides a distrust, right, an issue for our law enforcement where people may not be willing to talk to our law enforcement when there's real issues in our community. Another one that came up just this morning, I got another message from somebody who had a code enforcement issue, and they were afraid, this is a DACA recipient, so they are legally here, but they were still scared to meet with our code enforcement because they were worried that they would call immigration on them. And that even though they were legally here, there could be some issue there, and there was fear there. So we were able to reassure them, just like this resolution is reassuring them, that they don't have to worry about that they can always come to our police, to our code enforcement, to our staff, to our city hall, and they don't have to worry about that. They'll get the right services just like everybody else. They'll get treated with respect, with dignity, and we're going to be here for them. So I think that's one of the reasons that I think that this resolution is so important. The second part of that is the fact that we have video that is captured sometimes either by police or city staff or city buildings, and making that publicly accessible in cases of where there may be questionable enforcement, right? Possibly unlawful or unconstitutional immigration enforcement throughout the city, and folks being able to access that camera footage and being able to use that for any court cases or anything like that, I think that's going to be extremely valuable as well. Thank you.
We have a motion by Councilmember Gutron
And I'll second that motion.
and a second by Mayor Pro Tem. And let's vote. Yay. Fantastic. That's good. It's good to see. Thank you, Chief. All right. Next item, item 9.2, fiscal year 2025-26 mid-year budget report. Ruby Walla, you're on.
Yes. Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, City Council, Ruby Walla, Finance Director for the City of Indio. We've prepared a presentation for you this evening to complement the staff report and the mid-year report narrative that's included in the agenda. We have a few slides, quite a number of slides, but really a lot of good news going on to share in this mid-year report. So moving forward. Okay, so this evening we will be covering the adopted budget, just an overview, talking about general fund revenues, budget versus actual, how we're looking at expenditures as a whole. I will share that probably not going to do a whole lot in expenditures as I will do in the revenue side in terms of performance, providing multi-year projection and a look at fund balance. An overview of the water fund, also taking a look at authorized positions as well as the class and compensation schedule for your consideration. And then what this does is really kick us off into our budget season, right? So as we move forward into the 26-27 budget preparation. So a brief recap, as we entered into the 2025 investment commitment to the city for infrastructure improvements, and we're continuing to $459 million all in. That includes also operational internal transfers, including capital and across all funds, your general revenue funds, capital funds, and your water fund as well. And continuing with the recap, this is just on the general fund and perception of what we had $129 million in expenditures with 123 of revenues. And of course, with that consideration is that we were estimating of 6.9 million as carryover that we would be ending the fiscal year in 23-24 to carry that over, that we recognize as salary savings, projects that not had been completed, and it's inclusive of 800,000, and then City Council giving the direction to allocate funding of $500,000 that they can view. But this is just a snapshot of the general fund revenue and what we're looking at. So overall, 123 million as provided in the summary in the prior slide. But tonight, we're projecting to have an additional 6 million in additional revenue, which is very detailed and outlined within the staff report in terms of what are those shifts that we're seeing year-over-year comparison. What did we look like last year? What are we looking like this year? And how are we trending? Again, when we talked about budget initially for this budget for 25-26 in preparation, we talked and considered the flattening of revenues, which we were seeing primarily in sales tax and Measure X dollars. And if you may recall, at that time, we were projecting up higher. And then with our partners, HDL, we have those conversations. We decided at that time it was better to scale back because based on what was being seen is that we were seeing a reduction in sales tax dollars, both general sales tax and as well as the Measure X dollars that we received. So with that conservative approach, that's why we ended up at 123 million, and now we're asking for an additional 6 or seeing an additional 6, and we'll be asking for City Council's approval to authorize those. So I'll walk through some of those in the sense of transient occupancy tax. We had a great presentation earlier on tourism. That's a driver, and what that is when it's volatile in the sense that we benefit from the tourism aspect, not just Indio in terms of a destination place for Indio for festivals and activities, but throughout the Coachella Valley, we capitalize as well with our neighboring cities. So if tourism's doing well, we're doing well. But we also rely on the festivals, correct? Depending on their success, if they succeed, we succeed. The lineup and all those driving factors, and that does have a domino effect. But we are seeing an increase in TOT, but most significantly in STRs, and we talked about that in length somewhat in the study session, but that's where we're seeing that revenue generation, especially the income that we're receiving from the various platforms from Vrbo and Airbnb. And so that's where we see that split, and that split in TOT primarily is about 75-25 on actual, that we're receiving more 75% of STR versus our hotel TOT. So that's doing well. So that adjustment is reflective of that. And then we have our property tax in lieu for that we just received our first payment, and we'll go through. There's a slide specific to that, which we'll talk a little bit more as we go through. And then the other recommendations are ambulance services. That's just trending well. And we have here other services that we also see, and the ones that follow are primarily those that we received additional revenues that we did not budget for, and those are all detailed out. And I'll take you to the column in terms of actual through December 2025. What you'll see there in like most of our activity, it depends on timing. So those are revenues that just have not been captured. I just talked about the property tax in lieu. That comes in February. We just received it. So when we're doing a mid-year comparison, we just don't quite have those numbers yet. And that holds true for the music festival services. That has not occurred. So therefore, we don't have any of that revenue recognition. And again, if there are any questions along the way, please feel free to ask. So I'll go through a few slides which highlight some of the most significant revenue sources that we have with the city, primarily focusing on taxes. So here we have Measure X, which I highlighted, which we're trending better than anticipated. Our current budget is 8.2. However, we are not proposed an amendment, and when prior to drafting, after drafting this report, we actually met with our partners at HDL and talked about what we're seeing and a trend. And so actually, although we're not proposing an adjustment, we are anticipated to do better than projected. So we will anticipate an increase there. Sales and use tax, the same story holds true there. We are trending well. We have an increase compared to the prior year. We're still staying consistent. There's no recommended proposed amendment here. And continuing on, and you'll see the forecast here. TOT, I did talk a little bit about that, kind of went forward, but that's where we're seeing a lot of the change. And in the report I outlined, although I'm just requesting an $800,000 increase on the budget amendment just to see how we're trending, year over year, it looks like maybe 17 million might be our new baseline, but that's where I draw the caution a little bit before we get too comfortable there is let's see, because that's what's the beauty in these charts, and this one's a great one, because we go back to 2021 and you see that spike, and I know it probably took the city a while to understand, is that a real spike? Is that a real number? Is that something that we can live with and be comfortable in? And it took a number of years, I think, before we got to that point. And so that's what we're seeing now is where it is flattening, as you can see, but where are we trending? But that's why you see our projections still being conservative, not rising up to that full capacity, because again, depending on tourism and activity, we might see those, it can shift up or down at any time. Property tax in lieu, I did talk about that, and that does have a budget amendment associated with, and based on an annual 2% increase, and so that's trending with that, and that will just keep us in line with what we're anticipating. Property tax revenues, no proposed amendment here, and that's trending on target with the increase, and year over year, we do have we've had the city of Indio experience a 5 to 6% increase in property tax. Any questions on revenue before I jump into expenditures?
Yeah, so Ruby, I have a question. our recurring revenues and expenditures were in the general fund. Where are those at? Where are recurring ones that we could count on that are there?
Well, all these revenues are recurring. Oh, sorry. I know, where did it go? Okay, there we go. So all of these revenues are recurring. So the ones that you would primarily be concerned about are the ones on the bottom, right? Miscellaneous revenue, grants and reimbursements. Those fluctuate. Those primarily would be like the inconsistent revenues because you're unsure, and those are some of the ones that we would propose adjustments to because we budget those, either we don't budget at all for some of those categories, depending on what's in, if it's unexpected revenue, we'll get that in, basically like reimbursements, settlements, claims, reimbursements, of that nature is what you would have in there. But license and permits is reoccurring. But that's where I caution as well, license and permits and other service charges, because those talk to city service fees. And right now we're building, right? And we're doing well, and we have that momentum of growth. So that's other place where we will budget conservatively there because we are trending more than anticipated. Some of the year to date, we're at 60 to 90% of budget versus actual. So
maybe
consistently, go
I was
ahead.
just saying, maybe the slide helps answer the question as well, just to add to what Ruby's saying. The slides with one of the graphs, you just take VLF, for example, or
Yeah, because I wanted to
So-
go back to those too, because the reason why I say is that, I mean, these are very conservative approaches, right? And they're kind of bottomed out, but when we look at development and, you know, the upgrade in our power infrastructure, I actually appreciate this because we're not, it seems like we're just staying there, not getting too wild with spending and bottoming out, especially with our TOT and our Measure X. And, you know, I think that's important, you know. We had a pandemic that we weren't ready for, even though we did good in sales tax. You just never know when something might come up. So that's why I asked those questions, and I was going to go back to those graphs because we bottomed out. However, I still think that we may still be trending up, but I appreciate this more to be more of the conservative side of spending. So,
well, that's very well said. So I would say that the trend line that she's indicated here is the most conservative way to say what we believe is recurring. It's possible, in fact, it may even be likely, we're more on an upward trend. But to your point and to the council's discipline in the past, let's be conservative because we never want to have recurring expenditures exceed our recurring revenues. This kind of flat trend line is ultra conservative, but it's safer. So if I were to answer the question, I would say that is our recurring revenue projection, but we'll likely do better. And then that's good news, rather than have the opposite occur. Because if we took that trend line and we kept going up, maybe there's another slide, maybe the sales tax might be an example, where if we went too aggressively and then it didn't become recurring, meaning we hit that tough time, the ones that you're mentioning, Mayor Pro Tem, I think are important for all of us to remember is the development-related revenues could be more one-time, less recurring at the high levels. However, we mentioned when we finally bring on these new substations, we will likely see that growth you're talking about. I think that will be sustained. And it'll be up to you when we come back to you in May whether you want to be a little more aggressive, a little less aggressive, or more conservative. And that line will just kind of tip this way according to your direction. Now, if we are a little more aggressive and we hit those numbers, we'll be able to get more done. But if we miss, then we'll have to pull back.
Right, and so Bendier gives us that opportunity to provide you with that update and to evaluate how we're looking and what's trending at that time.
great, thank you.
Mike, Ruthine, you've done an excellent job explaining it. I think what I'm looking at is what is that total number that we're going to be conservative? We know what'll come in, but like ambulance services, never a guarantee. License and permits, depends, people come and go. More businesses come in, but also people leave. Fines and forfeitures, well, that depends on how enforcement we are and what we're doing with forfeitures. So I think I would like to know what that total number, what that total pie is. We're going to have to be just careful. Of course, if we do well, then we'll reap the reward later, you know. We invest today, we'll see what happens later.
Right, and I can answer that. In terms of what that conservative is been about around the 120, 123 million in terms of revenue in anticipating that. That's the conservative. That's the baseline, is you're trending over 120, 123 to be realistic, 123 million.
Yeah.
That's the reality. And then we would come to you in terms of revenues, in terms of this case, if we're seeing it could go up or down in terms of we're seeing trending about 6. And to be honest, because we are still being somewhat conservative, it probably will be higher on the revenue perspective, but we aren't dialing up that high. So that, to answer your question in terms, and also Mayor Pro Tem Furman, is 120, 123 for the general fund is basically your baseline at this point.
So Ruby, you're talking about the one-time rollover. So it seems like the last couple of years, we've been in the 6 million, right around that area where we've gone over because of savings from personnel, haven't spent money and other stuff. But I think it's pertinent on our part to stay at that, to be at that level, because we can always change it mid-year. The city and the city council hasn't gone for one over the last few years when we spend it wisely. If there's really something we need, we can always go back and reach in to bring the money forward if we need an extra position or anything else. But if we don't hit that numbers, then we got to reverse everything, go backwards, or start to look at a reserve fund. I think it's pertinent that we stay about where we are to make sure that we're always making our numbers, and then we can readjust as we're going through. That way we don't have to worry about the 20 million we have in reserves or the other money we have for our PERS and the other retirement benefits from medical, because, I mean, this is exactly what we're supposed to do. I think you've done a great job of making sure that we're in that numbers, and same with staff. But there really isn't anything I think this council hasn't gone ahead and bought that we needed with what we have, so.
Because of the disciplined nature of have you
Exactly.
proceeded. And a great point that the council member makes, because that 6 million that's kind of been our cushion, as a percentage of that 120, 123, is less than 5%. So it's not a huge barometer, but when it is good, then you have choices. If it's off a little bit, no problem, because we have cushion. We have that little cushion.
Beg your pardon? That leads me to my question, which has to do with reserves. I mean, that's something that has been so important to us since I've been on council, which is 15 years now, is making sure that we have a robust reserve. And so I wondered if you could walk us through what those reserves are and what the percentage of.
If you don't mind, I can jump ahead to the slide that provides some of that information to give some kind of visual.
Terrific.
So here on this slide with the multi-year projection, but I'll go one more, sorry, let me go back, this one, and then we'll go to the multi-year. So this is your fund balance history, and this is the beauty in what we're seeing in terms of how we're ending for fiscal year 24-25, which will be coming to City Council with that financial audit for their review and acceptance. And so what you have here is the way our ending fund balance at 75.68 million. And how that's broken down is that 4 million that you see there is a restricted in 24-25. That is your PARS pension trust, the commitment that City Council has made to funding for the future as far as for the unfunded liability and to pay for that cost to prepare for the future as an additional reserve in concept. That 18.5 million, that is your rainy day fund, the emergency reserve. The City Council has also been strategically disciplined in the sense of contributing to that rainy day fund and putting funds towards that $500,000 there, $500,000 currently. And then you have your assigned fund balance, and that's the most significant, and that's the one that will fluctuate, and you'll see fluctuates year after year. But that balance there, as you see between 24-25 and 25-26, it goes to zero because there's an assumption. What that is that is commitments there to the capital plan to secure that the funding that we've come forward with in that capital plan that for general fund obligations, may it be Measure X or general fund, that we do secure that funding to ensure that that capital plan can continue and that we secured those resources. Also in that is we set aside funds to make your next year contribution to your PERS, your PARS contribution, your OPEB trust contribution, which is the retiree medical portion that we're contributing to, which I can say currently, based on our recent investment report, both balances are at 5 million. So that is securing those funds. So what that net effect is the reality that 6 million also that we're talking about that we were anticipating to close the year with is it absorbed everything that we're committed to moving into the next year, but now we have an additional $5 million to move forward to make those decisions in terms of how we move into the next year. And actually makes us a little bit more solid as we move into, as we're in 25, 26. So that is the continued commitment. And I'll go back, sorry, trying to adjust here. And this screen, and this page really tells what are the decisions that council can be faced with? What are the choices moving into the next fiscal year? So there's a lot of lines there, but you see that I'll take you to the center of that where it says one-time projects and contributions. All of that funding there is approximately $11 million as you move out 3 years because we have debt service that will be increasing in the next year. So that will reduce that from 14 million to 11 million. But that's discretionary funding that council will have the ability to decide what they would like to do with that. But in their staff were making adjustments and recommendations and assumptions that we will continue to fund the contingency, the appropriations for contingency that we've had consistently, that we're going to continue the emergency reserve. And what that numbers reflects there is what meets exactly the 15% of revenues in accordance with our policy. Now, at council discretion, if you want to exceed that and contribute more, this is where we would just adjust the numbers here. We're assuming that we're going to continue with our $1 million PARS contribution. We're going to continue with the 1.5 million OPEB contribution on a year over year. And what that leaves is at the bottom, we have what you have remaining of Measure X dollars. Currently, we obligate 5 million for streets and roads, and then that leaves us with another about 3 million or so for other projects. And then again, that's still assuming conservative revenues. And what you see here is that you're still within your fund balance and you're operationally considering all your commitments are doing fine. Does that give you that perspective or any?
That's fantastic. Thank you.
Just Ruby, to piggyback on that, since you're in that arena, were those accounts, will that help us with our CalPERS and our retiree health liability?
Yes, those identified as PARS and OPEB, yes, they will, because that will be a choice. Right now, you have the ability, they're only committed for, and you can only spend those, PARS can only be on your pension. We only have a pension fund with PARS currently, and then OPEB can only be for retiree medical. So it would be in the sense of, if there was an economic downturn or we were strained in some way, our performance didn't trend as it should, these will be resources that you could actually draw from to make those unfunded liability payments. But it is to get us to a funded status because we do have significant unfunded liabilities currently for both of those.
Thank you.
Sure. Thank you. Okay. Any other questions? All right. Go right ahead. Thank you.
I will take a step back. We were going to go over appropriations. Like I said earlier, not a lot to highlight here, but really to commend staff. We've done a lot of different changes, implemented new processes, but what I would like to call your attention here is you see an adopted budget, but you also see a revised budget. And what that displays is that we're working within with our means. We're working within the originally adopted budget. So we do have the ability to, they've made some changes. Maybe it would be within categories, salary savings to get some contracted services and so forth. But what this is displaying is that we're not coming back to City Council to ask for additional money because we recognize that we can live within our means and make the necessary adjustments. And the team really goes back to evaluate their budgets to determine if there is a need, an unplanned need, how they will move forward. And so our goal is always, if we're going to come to City Council with a request, it's because we really have a need, but we're really making the effort to live within our means. So that's what I want to highlight. Staff is doing an amazing job, all collaborative and reflection here. And so this trends overall at 34% at mid-year, where, we would some cases be 50, 55, 60, and it just depends on the activity. But this is reflective of what we're seeing, the year-over-year savings that we achieve.
Good.
And this is just to categorize how the budget is expanded. And I always like this slide, and I share this with leadership groups and so forth whenever I talk about Indio, but it's significant. What this tells between your percentages, between salaries and benefits and purchase services and all your activities is that I've seen pie charts like this where a lot of your compensation and benefits are the meat of your budgets, where you're looking at 70% and so forth. And what that sometimes tells a story is that you're investing a lot in just staffing. But this is a well-balanced graph in terms of the chart tells you have our staffing, but we're also doing the work because you're investing in the community. So this is, I really find this interesting, and a true story, a true telling story of the city doing what it's supposed to do and really investing in the community while balancing with the resources that they need.
My only comment, and I appreciate that, is I don't want to be a learning organization. I want to be a pro organization. In other words, we need to start hiring talent that comes with the talent that is from those areas, that has the knowledge, instead of us teaching. Because we've become a great teaching ground. We need to be the opposite. It needs to be more than just a teaching ground. And we need them to know locally. We need them to understand our communities when they're coming in. Because it's getting competitive, obviously. And you invest a lot in your teams with all the departments. And I know that HR has done their best and talked about the turnover rate, but I still see the young faces, they're learning, but we also need to, an organization's perfect with 50-50, 50 with knowledge and 50 to learn. And the 50 that have knowledge teach the 50 that are going to learn to keep on. That's an investment we have to make. Otherwise, we'll go back to the turnover, and we have excellent people that have left the city in the last 10 years with really good upping jobs because they learned here. We need to help retain what we have. So I hope that's one of the key points.
And
because without it, there's no future.
I think in in the last half of those 10 years, my observation is, as a result, we are seeing this economic strength of our community, and largely that's part of the our staff and the strength of our staff and the education of our staff and moving us forward. So I guess from my perception, there's got to be a balance of both, and I really see a strong, capable staff that is really responsible for this kind of positive budget. So thank you. Any other comments?
No, there we go. You're both absolutely correct. And I think right now we're in a great moment to attract more folks, whether it's here or the PD. We've become an attractive city, not just from the aesthetics, but internally, right? And so, we have the honor and privilege to travel throughout the state and sometimes out of state to talk about how Indio got to where Indio's at from previous years. And it starts with leadership and its council, but more importantly, it's the trust of the community. And that's something that we see right now. There's a lot of trust in the community. I mean, we talk about Measure X and Measure E, that's from our community. And we've been very fiscally responsible with our community dollars. And so I thank the community for that as well. But I think we're in a great moment now to be attractive to other talent and local talent, and work with our local College of the Desert, and have other opportunities to keep our talent local. Not only that, we're also competitive wage-wise. We have people coming here. Our HR is busy. He's quiet back there, but he's busy. So, I'm very pleased of that. Especially with our PD. In our world, it's hard to hire law enforcement, and I think it's going to get harder. But we still are sending people to the academy. Not everybody has a ability to do that, and that's great. So, hats off to our leadership and our city manager and your staff for making our city that attractive.
So moving on, we talked about, any more questions on this slide here? No? Okay. Talked about the fund balance. And then we talk about capital. I did talk about that as we talked about the fund balance summary there. So we have a robust capital plan of $205 million, comprised of various funding sources. But of that, what I talked about was 70.9 million of that is general fund commitments, local dollar commitments. And so we have secured that funding, and we have that assigned fund balance that we talked about, where the proportional share sits within the general fund as far as our capital funds. And what we've done this last year is actually create a separate fund for our Measure X dollars, so that we hold those separate and not commingle them. They do come in through our operating account, but we do now for dollar transfer them over to a capital fund that holds those funds, so that we retain that commitment for all the capital needs, and then those get distributed out that way. So with those three buckets that we have, we ensure that we have that $70 million commitment. And as we move forward in the budget process, we'll evaluate what we need, what we're carrying forward, and bring that number back to you, of course, as far as what is that general fund need and how does it fit within our budget moving forward. So that covers all of the general fund. And then I do have a brief summary as well for Indio Water Authority. This is quite smaller, insignificant in terms of the budget to actual. This is all timing, again, because it's the relationship between the city and the Indio Water Authority, so there is a timing aspect there. But this budget of $36.7 million is all inclusive of capital funding and operations. And we have about 15 million total in capital needs that are addressed here. So the total operational budget is 21 million for the Water Authority. And what in your report and what you have here is talking about the revenues. And so there are proposed amendments there, budget amendments on the revenue side. And as we came to the prior meeting with to move forward with the water bond refunding. And as we worked through the water bond refunding, we did evaluate the financials, also looked at with the recent rate study adoption. When we adopted the budget, we didn't make any assumptions in terms of revenues on the impacts of the rate study and moving forward. And so we've taken a step back, evaluated all of that in connection with the rate study and the bond refunding, and therefore we are making adjustments to water sales. But what you'll see here as well is, and as displayed in the rate study, you do see a decrease, but that was an assumption that was built in as with the adoption of the rate study, there was a rate restructure that took place with consolidating tiers and adjusting rates to streamline those. So that's why you see that here, but very consistent, still very strong. And as we displayed at the prior meeting, well meeting debt service coverage 3 times. Any questions here? No? And then we move on. Also included in your packets are the authorized position listing and the classification and compensation schedule for your consideration for approval. The one highlight is that we are requesting through this item is an approval of an additional community beautification worker to classification in connection with the residential rental inspection program. So that is for your consideration. Overall, just adjusting our full-time positions from 298 to 299. And lastly, part of that is the class and comp schedule, and that's to reflect any new salary changes in connection with any MOU changes that took effect, any contract changes or any position changes. And then on the horizon, this really kicks off our next budget process as we move forward. What do we look like now moving into 26 and 27? So this is a summary of our budget schedule. Staff will start working here come in March. We're already doing our work in the finance team. And then April, we have those discussions with department requests, discussions with city manager as he formulates his recommended budget, as well as we prepare for study session in May. And then dependent on how those study sessions go, we look forward to presenting you with the recommended budget for adoption. So this evening, we are asking that the City Council and the Indio Water Authority Board approve the recommended budget amendments, also approve the authorized position listing, as well as approve the current citywide classification and comp schedule. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
So you mentioned the projection is that we'll have $6 million over budget, right?
In additional revenue, but yes, that would be.
And so,
That would be on the revenue side, but we would anticipate if we continue to see the trend that we're doing on the expenditure side, we'll also have some savings there.
gotcha. And so for those for the 6 million, how much of that is programmed into the adjustments that you're putting in now?
So the total budget adjustment, I'm only asking you to increase revenues to align with what we're anticipating. There's no additional appropriations being requested at this time. So we're still living within our means in terms of the budget that we've originally adopted.
Gotcha.
So there's no change in our appropriations.
What about the additional position that's being mentioned there?
Additional position would be absorbed within existing,
Gotcha.
with the existing resources. We do have identified sources to cover that addition.
And a new revenue source that will pay through the rental program.
That's right. Okay.
And maybe to add just a little bit to the answer, that 6 million, once it becomes a part of the fund balance, some of it could be recurring, back to the discussion on the Mayor Pro Tem's question. So it's new revenue, we don't consider it recurring yet, it hits the fund balance. So if there's a consideration of an expenditure for that 6 million, it shouldn't be a recurring expenditure, but a one-time.
And we'll be discussing that during the budget session?
Yes, in fact, that's a great question, because you see, okay, there's 6 million, Councilmember Miller brought this up. If you saw a need, it could be addressed now, but to the calendar that Ruby just presented, we're less than 2 months away, essentially, from where we can put that money into the pot, and you all decide what are the priorities. Some I've mentioned to some of you that have asked, we hope to receive the Phase 2 grant on the sports complex. That grant, different than the first one for Phase 1, for example, requires a 100% match. Mm-hmm. So we're going to need to find, hopefully we receive the grant, it's a $7 million grant, we will need to find $7 million. We know that Monroe, we think, is very close, if not completely funded, but Jackson is only funded by about $2 or $3 million. We only need another 150 there. So there are plenty of needs for those, but that's up to you. While some of that could be discussed now, in the larger budget session, you'll see all of them. Because anything in isolation kind of looks, well, that's a great idea, but you have to pit it against all the other ideas. Yeah.
Gotcha. No, well, I think I want to just say thank you first to our council for being conservative on the spending, but also to our staff for doing such good work with our businesses and our workers out there in the city to bring these revenues and ensuring that we have money to work with at the end of the year, right? And that we're not having to pull back on these projects. So I think we're all working really well here within the city with our staff, our small business owners who took a huge risk on downtown, right? That's going really well right now, increasing our revenue balances. So we really appreciate all the efforts from our local artists and our workers and everybody out there who's working hard to bring money into their families, but also investing into our city here. One thing, Mr. Huitron, you mentioned how we may need some help in some different areas of the city, right, with retention or with attracting certain types of talent. And so I think as part of the budget report, if we could get a summary from staff in saying what are the areas in need at the moment where we're not being able to attract certain workers or we're not being able to retain workers, and how can we make some strategic investments there to attract that talent or retain that talent as part of our new budget. Thanks.
Good point. I'm sorry.
Well, I think that, I'm jumping ahead of the councilman.
No, I just didn't know if,
He's finished.
okay.
and I
So,
will- go ahead.
so my statement is, I appreciate that because coming from the front line and understanding how, and the budgets, the other thing I'm always concerned about, and I think it's just more a matter of saying it, we're paying all our bills. We are gonna meet our commitment of every single position we've approved. If there's vacancies, we're gonna fill them. And if we don't, then it's because we just can't find that right person. And lastly, that we're taking care of business. So as long as that's assured right now, then that's great, because we don't want to hear, well, we didn't mitigate, we're not going to fill it, or we're going to readjust our budget because we can't do it. You know, we approved them, then we're moving forward. So that's.
Yes, I think it's a great suggestion, and it is typically part of the budget process, but we can bring more attention to a specific analysis of where we're at. I've been here about 5 years now. We finally are in a mode, based on your conservative approach and the success of the city, where the employees can count on, the team members can count on a cost of living increase. They can count on reclassifications. There have been more reclassifications and steady COLAs in the last 5 years than those of you that have been here in memory. So one of the fabulous components of what's going on is there is a lot of growth going on. There are a lot of new public facilities, improvements, roads and parks, and we've been able to provide these greater benefit packages, steady COLAs, and reclassifications. And with all of that and all that going on, we are in better financial shape today than we were 5 or 6 years ago. So there is a great steady trend. We're getting more applications for our positions than we ever have. There might be an area or two, to your point, where we need to target a little bit better, but we receive, for some positions, 100, we have to stop at 100 applications. We can't even process those. So fortunately, people want to serve here. And almost all of them, and the PD is a perfect example, the recent hires of the PD are local folks that we are sending to the academy, and they're coming back and serving where they grew up and serving where they live. It makes a huge difference, huge difference. So I know I might be preaching to the choir, and there are a lot of nodding of heads, but as a resident of Indio, I'm glad where we're at, and we need to find those areas where we can target and improve, and we'll bring that to you here in May. So May is the plan for the early budget sessions, and then in June is where you really get into the meat of approving the next year's budget.
Thank you for that, Mr. Montgomery. But the other thing about it too is that if they're homegrown, they're not worried about buying a house. They're not worried about coming into an expensive market right now, no matter where you come from. You know, with the rate of interest on a house, and that it's difficult for some people to move and leave where they are to come here. If they're homegrown, they're not having to worry about some of those other expenses that we can't really help them with. But I want to get back before we get away. We were talking about the grant for the park for the $7 million. I don't think there's anybody at this dais that would not spend the $7 million to get $7 million, especially in park money. I mean, I know the bridge is coming, but when you're talking about a $7 million grant, if somebody told you they'd match you dollar for dollar in your retirement fund, you'd do it all day long. So I don't know how you wouldn't be able to do it. So I think we are going to need to, if we get that grant, that $14 million in that park will make a big difference. And I think that commitment from us got to be there, even if it comes from Measure X over a period of time or something. But when we get back to the budget, I just want to go over a couple of things that I want to see before, if we can, initiate into the budget. I do believe where Mr. Gutron talked about the janitors, I think that's something, if we look into the budget, I want to not have you build the budget without some of the input. I think we need to look at hiring these janitors in-house like you're talking about, to be able to have them here so that we can control them in terms of where they go, how they go, and where they're doing the maintenance in our buildings and that, especially with the brand new ones we're going forward. And we've talked about this for a long time, but I would really like to see 2 individuals that work for Public Works that go around and just clean the city. I know we have other people, when we have a problem, we have Excel, but if you really go through the city, and what makes a different city look neat and clean is that they have people going out and maintenance. There's people are dropping bags all the time. You can't have Tim drop somebody, go off and do something. If these two individuals, whoever they are in a truck with stuff, they can do stuff, call Burtech, have them pick up the big stuff. But, you know, and I always say this, the sidewalks, if you go down Madison Street, there's nothing between the houses in Santa Fe and that area of Madison thing all the way up to Miles Avenue. The weeds in the sidewalk are a foot tall. And that's something that those guys could come out and do, cut down those weeds, clean it up, spray the thing, pick up the bag of trash that goes through, the tires you see out there, pick them up, do this stuff. Those people going across our city when there's a problem, go and doing it, be so much more beneficial to us than it is to have us call Tim or do something, pull somebody off, or by that time somebody dropped a bag of trash or somebody dropped something out of one of the landscape trucks. And then by that time it's been run over 6 or 7 times, and now it's all over the place, instead of having these people come out through our city and that. And I think it would help Tim so he doesn't have to pull the people off the parks or do the other stuff, just to go through. There's shopping carts here, there's trash there, there's this there. We need you to go out and do the weeds because we're gonna have the parade go downtown. Could you look at town real quick for us and just, you know, spruce that up to make sure it's there? But at the same time, it's the second set of eyes, so when there's stuff around the thing that they can't handle, they're helping us take the picture and know what's going on, so they can be that eyes and ears. And if you're talking 2 people making $75,000, $100,000 a year, that $200,000 will come back in property values and other things so much more. And when people come and see our city, when you walk through it, it'll be so much more clean and neat. So I think it's something we really need to look at and invest in ourselves, because you don't see that in some of the other cities, and they have that. If you go to Rancho Mirage, they have a group that just goes out and does nothing but cleaning. And it's not who's responsible for it, it's let's get it cleaned up. Or let's figure out there and let's call code enforcement and have them go out and do this stuff. So just my 2 cents on that. And then the last thing is the golf course. I know where you got the beautiful clubhouse in that. That clubhouse is now gonna make the golf course look horrible. And I know we've got a plan and to work. I mean, it's in great shape, but when you see a top-of-the-notch clubhouse, it's like when you had Indian Wells. Ruby knows that well. The golf course did not match the clubhouse when they first did it after they cleaned it up, and now they've had to reinvest in it. We haven't invested in our golf course and other than the clubhouse and anything inside of it in like the last 20 years. So it's something we need to look at.
That halfway point bathroom that's out there, it's in bad shape.
Yeah, that's one of the next priorities. Certainly, I didn't have anything really to report in the city manager reports, but the council member mentioned something that the mayor noted. Thank you to the community. We had a huge turnout for the parade on Monday. The roads were clean. They didn't leave their trash behind. They picked, it was beautiful. I think the nicer we make things, the more they want to keep them nice.
Pride.
You know, and I took pictures of it because for the first time, people got up, people that were sitting, of course, my shop's on Miles Avenue, and so that's where I was, and people were, and they were telling their kids, go pick up that wrapper, go pick it up. There was not one bottle cap or wrapper in that street, and for the first time that I've been here in 20 years, the pride that people have, Indio Lindo, the pride that people have in their community and striving to make it better, to keep it clean, is just really wonderful and heartwarming and fantastic to see. Just
Well,
all we have.
everything's important, but Town Street's the main avenue of this facility and the library and the college. So I think, you know, it needs a sparkle.
It needs a
From
a
111
little
to
bit.
Miles.
Yeah. There are a few spots, but that was pretty impressive.
But my hat's off to everyone.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's good, though. It's just positive
It just-
reinforcement.
the
you
city
know.
council has been very conservative, but it comes with good leadership and a good staff and our city residents. I mean, it's a combination of everything to make this work.
It's a tremendous effort.
And it's in a good place to be. I mean, you know, there's a lot of people struggling right now. And yes, we have our challenges, but it's on the way completely up. And when you're talking about not worrying about money and you're not worried about trying to do what you need to do, obviously we can never be enough money, but a lot has got done, and it took a lot of courage at the time to donate and to work into what I classify donate from our residents into our measure E and measure X, because we hadn't had a good track record of spending money, and then they saw what we were able to do, and then invest in downtown, and it's been a transformation over the last 20 years. So my hat's off to everyone.
Yeah, I echo everyone's comments and support everyone's questions they had. You know, it's a lot of numbers, right? And if you're not from the accounting background, and a lot of this could be real confusing, but I want to say Ruby did an excellent job presenting this. And if we had questions for her, she answered them. And so it made really good sense. But to the folks who may be in the audience or maybe watching online, to sum it all up, you know, Councilmember Gatron had a great comment about taking care of business and where we're at. Out of a scale of 1 through 10, 10 being the best, where are we at right now? What do you think? And if we need to make any changes, I wouldn't say give us those changes now because we're a couple months away. But Mayor Pro Tem Furman could be very ambiguous with things in the city and, you know, looking at the future, and it's all out of excitement. But with that being said, from 1 to 10, where do you think we're at right now?
From a 1 to 10, I think your question in terms of moving forward in aggressiveness or?
The overall economy, the city, how the city's doing.
I think just financially.
Yeah,
how
overall
are we?
financially, I think the city's doing well. I would do 9, 10, and the reason I do that is because I still, you know, stand on the side of caution in terms of, you know, I know the aspects of the tourism aspects, I know the building, I know, but we also have challenges, right, with some of that that come with it. But I believe that we're solid. I mean, completely on the high end, the high scale there. And so I continue with the path, and that's why I bring forward to council, you know, with these commitments and these big commitments, looking at the sports park, how does that trend? And really working with our public works team, as far as our water team, as well as for what their project commitments are, as to looking like how we can do that, because I've shared that with city manager and everyone else is, I don't want to be that person to come to you one day and say, we can't finish that project or we can't move forward in that sense. Again, keeping our operations solid and making sure that we have the things that we need to move forward. So in terms, I would just rank us up at high end as a 10. We're doing really good. We're meeting our needs and moving forward and having additional resources to make decisions moving forward.
Right. And before I say any other final comments? I think, first of all, thank you to our community for first Measure X and then Measure E, because we couldn't accomplish this without that. I just did a little bit of digging in history because, I don't know, one Sunday I didn't have anything better to do. And I looked at the general fund revenue starting at fiscal year 17-18 up to now. And it increased 67% in less than 10 years, from 74 million to 124 million. And I think that is really a testament to our direction, to a council that has been stable and strong and conservative, and to a staff who is just laser focused on this community, on this city, on making it the best that it can be every single day. Thank you. Thank you, staff, for the extraordinary job on walking through a whole lot of detail and making it understandable so that everyone can see it. Thank you for your conservative approach. And thank you. Everywhere I go, people walk up to me, and I know everybody feels the same way, to talk about how wonderful the city of Indio. It's great. Oh, and I saw this. Oh, and I saw that. And I want to go there. And now they're asking, and what's next? Thank you, staff, for that energy. I appreciate everything everybody does. It's a pleasure working with each of you here on this council. So if there are no further comments, I'll take a motion.
I'll be happy to make that motion that the City Council and Indio Water Authority Board approve the recommended budget amendments as outlined in the fiscal year 2025-26 mid-year budget report, attachment A, approve the updated authorized position listed on Exhibit A, and approve the current citywide classification and compensation schedule for fiscal year 2025-26, Exhibit B.
I'll second that.
Okay, I have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem, a second by Councilmember Oscar Ortiz. Let's go ahead and vote. Nifty voting mechanism. What a tremendous vote of confidence in our community and our staff. Thank you very much, everyone. And now we are going to go back to our agenda, which is here somewhere. And the next item has to do with public comment. And I believe it's item number 10 for public comments. And do we have any public comments? City Clerk, I think we have two.
2 cards, Madam Mayor.
And do you want to
The
call the
first one is Sensei Tamara Canedo.
Ah, nice. Nice to see you. Welcome.
Council and Madam Mayor, I am of Seithan Joku. I'm kind of choked up just driving up here because I am raised on Oasis and Miles. My father was a Shihan locally that had a dojo for a very long time. My first steps were actually taken in his dojo. And we don't come to this side of town often because it's a little hard. We lost him to dementia about 9 years ago, and so walking into the city was mesmerizing for me to see buildings looking the way they do. Congratulations to the beautiful city of Indio. I'm born and raised in the city of Indio, but for me, my biggest pride today is being a DT girl, as in downtown. My roots are back here, but to come in today and be able to reflect on where we are as an organization, I am so proud. As of last year, we have grown our nonprofit to be officially the largest para-karate program in the country. And I was also appointed para-karate coach for Team USA. It was a very big accomplishment because, as you may know, I am in a fighting industry. It is predominantly men, and I am only 2% of the women, and also only 2% that's teaching para-karate in the country for para-karate as a whole with USA Karate. As of last week, I now am at 172 para-karate athletes, and with the new contract that we just collaborated with, we're now predominantly, the majority is residents of Indio. So for me, being a girl raised in Indio, I'm now a woman, for being a woman raised in Indio and being able to have that caliber of growth in our town, it's just quite overwhelming, and to be quite honest, I'm very proud of it. I am hosting a para-karate tournament March 7th. It will be at the La Quinta High School. We are hosting the tournament March 7th, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m., and I wanted to personally invite you. As I said earlier, not only am I a downtown girl, but also the majority of our residents now come from the city of Indio. And I do service individuals with autism, Down syndrome, cerebral palsy, blind, and wheelchair athletes. For us, it's incredible, and it is the largest para-karate tournament in the country. So we have individuals coming all the way from Salton Sea to Sky Valley to make it to our event. I have sent out an invitation to Madam Mayor and the City Council to have you at our VIP table if you would, give us the honor. And honestly, I just really wanted to share where we're at as an organization. A couple of years ago, I left the finance industry. Gloria, Franz, and Nyla Tatum, I don't know if any of you are familiar with them, believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. And today, to be able to sit in front of you and just to be able to invite you is just honestly a blessing. So I did want to say that before I get kicked out. I hope everybody has a great evening and hope to see you at our event.
Thank you so much, and I'll be there. And if I can just share a great memory of your dad. So when I first came to town, and this was just a little, sort of the little engine that could downtown, we created this the Heart of Indio little group. And it was your dad that was helping us make, with the cars and making a little float for the parade. We had, and I still have pictures of it, of the Date Festival parade and the little float. And there was about 6 of us that made, and he worked together, and he was so excited. And he was a wonderful man and just a wonderful influence. So thank you for sharing that.
I appreciate it, and thank you for all that you guys have done to the city. Hope everybody has a great evening, and thank you for the memory.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you. Okay. That was wonderful. Thank you. The next.
Next is Rudy Morales.
Please speak to the microphone, okay. Good evening, Mayor and City Council and City staff. My name is Rudy Morales, and California Care Force is coming back once a year again, sponsored by Golden Voice. Every year we come out to Indio and provide free medical, dental, vision care for the community across the Coachella Valley, including City of Blythe, since they're losing a hospital. So we're trying to get that together. But I want to make sure we invite the city council, city staff, come and check out the residents, come and see what we do. Every year we have volunteers across the Coachella to join us, but what we don't have is many doctors and dentists and optometrists from the desert. Most of them come from out of town, LA, San Francisco, and they drive in there. I hope that if you have any doctor who's a doctor, an MD, a dentist, optometrist, please sign up, and because we need you. You know, it's a shame that we don't have that many local doctors here volunteering. We do have some, but not as many. And so I want to make sure I say that on TV. So whoever's hearing this if you're a doctor in Indio, please join us. We need your help. You know what I mean? So we start Friday from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. all 3 days. And we provide free dental, which means cleaning your teeth, extractions. We have dentures. We got state plates and braces if you qualify. And then we have medical. So if you've never seen a doctor because you don't have insurance, come and see the doctor. We have to look at your temperature, your when you're diabetic, your sugar low, high, anything with medical attention. And the vision which is free, because you get free eyeglasses. We got Versace, Prada, Ray-Bans, and of course frames are expensive. So come out and come and get them. Indio, if you need help, come and get them. There's no ask questions. No immigration status is required from anyone, and everything's free. And we also have testing for HIV testing, breast cancer testing, and other good stuff for the medical community that needs services. And I hope that everybody comes out, the city staff, city council, hope you can join us. Call me. You can see the doctors and come out and see what we do. It's a wonderful event, and I'm very happy to be part of this event.
Thank you. Go sure.
Rudy, what date is it?
It's Friday. So this day is short. This month is short. February 27th to Sunday, March the 1st.
So this is the end of the month.
At the Indio Polo Grounds, I forgot to say that.
Oh, it's at the Polo Grounds.
Yeah, Polo Grounds, Indio Polo Grounds. And line begins at 5 o'clock in the morning. Patients do get fed morning and lunch. All sponsored by Golden Voice. And thanks to Paul Tollett for making this happen for us.
Very philanthropic soul. Thank you very, very much for letting us know.
Mayor, I handed the flyer to Sabdi,
Oh, fantastic.
because I'd received it.
We'll get some.
So
That's
it
great.
basically does say Friday, February the 27th to Sunday, March the 1st, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the Empire Polo Grounds.
Great. Thank you.
If y'all want to volunteer, come out.
Come on down.
Come on down. We need help.
Hey, Rudy, this is for the whole Coachella Valley, right? You don't, not only Indio residents.
That's right.
All Coachella
Yeah.
Valley, including Blythe.
What was being held at the county
At the
fairgrounds?
fairgrounds. That's right. Yeah.
Then they
That's why I
just
asked, yeah.
relocated to the Polo Grounds.
That's great. That's a
Pickering
beautiful facility.
Pickering wanted too much money.
Yes. All right. Thank you. And on that note, I would like to, at 6:50, close the meeting in honor of two people, Mr. Luna being one. I remember seeing him and helping his wife Priscilla when she had the store across the street from me. But we also lost someone else rather unexpectedly. For those of us that spend time at Yellow Mart, you know that when you walked in, there was always somebody with a smile, someone eager to help, someone to carry on a conversation. His name is Matt. He passed away a couple of days ago. I know, it was heartbreaking. It was absolutely heartbreaking when I heard. They closed the people just had to grieve. And for any of us that were around, we saw that the business was closed. This man had worked there I've been here 20 years, and he was there for most, if
He
not
worked for
all
the
of that.
Freestads.
I'm sorry?
He worked for the Freestads before he worked
Even
for...
there, he was a staple, but he was nice. He was the person you saw outside. He was the one that greeted you. He was gonna help you buy a gun or buy a pair of jeans or a hat. He just had such a wonderful constitution, and what another tremendous loss in our community. I feel very badly for his family. And so on that note, if we could just offer a moment of silence for Matt and for Mr. Luna, and then we will close the meeting. Thank you, everyone. The meeting is now adjourned. Live long and prosper. And we'll see you all next time.